If you want to go far, go with your stars. Heating up at the right time. Devils fans have a name for that. Been good as of late. Winners of 3 in their last 4 in this playoff race. Welcome in to Devils Digest. Feel free to hit the subscribe button. Devils hot as of late. Big part of that. Timo time. Should have known. Usually when daylight savings time comes around, Timo Meier's playing his best hockey. He's got 6 points in his last 6 games. Devils just off a 3-game win streak. Look, it feels like Timo Meier, March hits, we're going to get his best hockey. Scored 28 goals last season. 17 of those were from March on. Seems like he's doing kind of the same this season. Go ahead, look at the season stats. 18 goals, 25 assists, 66 games, just over 55 Corsi, shooting just below 10%. Now, you look at those stats, and we know what Timo Meier is for this team. And maybe those stats aren't exactly what we expected. Maybe we're hoping a little bit closer to 40 goals, or at least over 30 goals, or more closer to a 70-ish point type player. Because we know that Timo Meier has been that in the past. He's great in San Jose. Big part of that playoff run for the Devils. Their trade piece and 17 goals from March on. One of the best players at that point. Now, I want you to go ahead and take a look. Because you look at his shooting percentage. Just under 10%. Now, 18 goals. 25 assists, 43 points, 66 games. You know, it's not necessarily that it's something like, oh, well, you know, you're not happy with that. But when you have a player, you give him $8.5 million, you're saying basically, this player is a part of our core. This player is someone who we really want to go down with going forward. Now, doesn't look the best. But when you put it into perspective and you see the 9.5% shooting percentage, the stats, and I know we have to keep everything in here, are a little bit kind of sway you the wrong way. Timo Meier went 19 games with just 1 goal. He had, I think, 55 shots on net and scored once. So when you look at those stats, they're a little misleading. Because we know Timo Meier is way better than 1 goal on 55 shots. 1 goal in 19 games. We know he's better than that. So when you have a stat like that, an outlier stat, rarely is the outlier ever correct. It just doesn't work out with star players, or even regular players. That type of stat doesn't usually correlate. Now, this season, maybe not his usual 30, 40 goal season, 70-point type player. But you look at where the Devils are right now and what this lineup looks like. Where they are, 3rd in the division, starting to put up some ground to finish top 3 in this division. And that's where they are. Now, you look at what Timo Meier's done to this point and how he's played over this 3-game win streak. I know they lost today, but before that 3-game win streak, if he gives this type of play he's played the past 6 games, the Devils look a lot better. They're in a much better position going down the line, especially when you lost a player like Jack Hughes. Because I've talked about it before on this team. When you look at teams, you try to find the advantage that you have over other teams. You know the New York Rangers have Igor Shesterkin. Capitals have the greatest goal scorer of all time. Carolina's really good defensively. When you look at things that other teams can't have, you have to use those type of advantages. Now, the Devils' one was that they had 2 elite centers in the division. Now, other teams couldn't match it. They don't have that anymore. So when you don't have something like that, what else can you look to? Well, a player who's capable of scoring 40 goals and is a power forward. Not too many other teams in the league have that. The Devils do. Timo Meier is one of the best power forwards in the NHL and goal scorer. when you can get this type of production going forward, it puts you in a much better situation. I mean, go ahead and think about it. How many power forwards score 40 goals in today's NHL? How many power forwards are capable of scoring 40 goals in today's NHL? Well, Timo Meier is capable, and he's done it before. And the type of play that we've been getting from Timo Meier as of late, since Jack Hughes' injury, has been exactly that. If you can get Timo Meier back to, that productive, impactful 40 goal score down the stretch, you don't really care about what's gone on up until this point. You're okay with the 19 games and just one goal in those 19 games. You're okay with that maybe the stats aren't going to be exactly what you wanted. If you can get that impactful player down the stretch, come playoff time, you're okay with it. It works. Go ahead and look at the lines. Look, you look in that bottom six, and you go, well, there's some players in there that, they're obviously, they're doing their job, but there's nobody in that bottom six who's maybe, going to give you that lift. I mean, when you look at other Stanley Cup teams, or put you over the top, I should say, maybe not give you that lift. Wrong terminology. But when you look at that bottom six, it's not so much going to put you over the top. You can go, look, I know depth is important and all that, but there's a reason stars get paid more. There's a reason on Stanley Cup teams, winning teams, your stars have to be your stars. Timo Meier is a star. The Devils need Timo Meier down this stretch. Jesper, Bratt, Nico, Hischier have both been super consistent for New Jersey. Timo Meier is starting to get consistent right now. Now, what the Devils would need is for him to stay that type of consistency. 17 goals for Markstrom last year. If they can get that out of him, it feels pretty good. Now, I know I said earlier, don't go off of the outlier. Well, Timo Meier's season this year, I think would be a little bit more of an outlier. He usually puts up a little bit more points. He usually scores a little bit more goals. He usually gets a little bit better luck than shooting under 10%. All those things usually happen. And when they're not happening, and history has told us that it does happen, eventually it's going to change. And it feels like right now that is changing for Timo Meier. And they need it at this time, because you look where they are in the division. They're starting to build some ground. They're starting to play a little bit better. They're starting to figure out how to play without Jack Hughes. And a big part to how they're starting to figure out how to play without Jack Hughes is the play of Timo Meier. They need a top line of Nico Hischier, Timo Meier, and whoever they decide to put on that right side. They played with it a little bit. Whoever they decide to put on that right side, they need that line to be their best line. They need that goal scoring. People are going to have to step in and fill for Jack Hughes. And that I look more to, that secondary scoring. You just need your stars to be your stars all the time. You have to get that star power. You have to get that impact. You have to get that scoring. And with the Devils, Timo Meier is one of those players. He's one of those advantages that you have. Not too many other teams in the league have a power forward who could score 40 goals. Devils have it. Devils have to be able to use this going down the stretch. And as of late, Timo Meier has been really, really good for them. And the Devils have been good. Look, it's not a coincidence that Timo Meier starts playing better and the Devils start winning more games. That's the type of player that you need, that you paid to be one of your top players. And he has been as of late. So really happy with Timo Meier's production over the past 6 games, especially with Jack Hughes out. Let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think going forward. What the type of lines the Devils should roll out, because definitely some things to go ahead and look at. All right, hopefully you all subscribed. I'll see you guys soon.